So yeah, man, good evening, Wagwan, hola. So let's talk about politics in Jamaica just for a short period of time, given the analysis I've done here and there. So we're going to take some few minutes to just dive through the politics because they are really, really hot with September coming, elections that will be involving PNP and is it JLP? Yeah. So elections are one thing that is very important for any nation because they determine who the leaders will be, what the country will be. And so from Kenyan perspective, I look at the Jamaican politics and I see a lot of fun compared to Kenyan politics. So as PNP and JLP try to win the hearts of Jamaican people and dive into who really will fight corruption, then I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, so it seems Jamaicans are serious about what they really need because they are against some things like corruption, foul language, and they really demand accountability. I don't know, for somebody who is from Jamaica, you can really contribute toward this so that we really understand whether that's my perspective, yet maybe that's not what is happening in your country. And I've been really following closely the Jamaican politics, and I will keep following that to see where the end of the road will get to. But as I look at the Prime Minister, Holiness, and the rest of the leaders, and the MPs vying here and there, then I get to really have a lot of fun to watch everything about Jamaica. Of course, Miranda Wellington is really, trending in politics, and there are a lot of questions arising about what the politicians should say. Then I also looked at something to do with JLP Rhoda, who went to a school and contributed towards some development. Then I also saw Warington apologizing for the profane language, and I was like, wow, compared to Kenyan politics, sometimes in Kenya, when politicians use foul language, they don't even care. They don't even have to go back to the citizens and say they are sorry. And no party really holds them accountable for whatever language they're using. So I tried to look at this and I was like, hey, everything in Jamaica looks irony, and I don't know. Because I've been looking closely at everything in Jamaica, from politics to real music to, aspect of policing and construction, all that. And I'm like, I really have to compare Jamaica and Kenya in one way or the other. So Martino Nazario, Wagwan, how are you? Alex Loved, Trains and Sirens, hello. Welcome to the house, Phil Ire. You can give me a like and let's go on with this discussion of Jamaican politics. Everything about politics makes me so happy and I really want to talk about it. So Ibrahim Kalm says hello for Turkey. I love everything from good days. That's good. That's wonderful. And what about the politics in Jamaica? What do you love about them? I've been looking around with and seeing a lot of development, from the past to the current. There's a lot of difference from what Jamaica was and from what it is. And when you look at the Caribbean, Tobago, you look at the rest of the places, you really get interested to feel like you should travel from your country and go to Jamaica. And we really get a lot of, followers from Jamaica because they really follow our what we do, especially when we talk about travelers who've been there and all that. Yeah, so Alex says, I love politics because they talk and have meetings. Yeah, I've seen like their politics and people are really alert. For example, I saw one situation where a politician had used profane language, and the members of the party celebrated. If you've watched that video, I'll be showing it in a short while. And so the citizens around there watched and celebrated, but later on, everybody was so annoyed by the profane language. He was using the F language, in a public meeting. And so they went on the opposition, that is the because he had to really apologize, come back to the citizen and apologize. And I was like, okay, so Jamaicans hold accountable their politicians for whatever they do. So let's start from there. I'll be showing a video on that, and then we'll go back and compare to the Kenyan situation, whereby a politician can use very foul language, even abuse another, and nobody cares, you know. So let's start from Warington and see the apology he offers here. Well, between supporters and the incumbent. So of course it starts here. In this meeting here, he went on using profane language, you know, and close your eyes. Yes. We are using language as well. But using F, your eyes. And say, yes, very not yes. That's not right. Don't still Mr. Warington went further. His comment was met with praises from the cheering. Yeah, so you can see that after using the FFF and everybody celebrates running around, but at the end of the day, he was held accountable. Yeah, here. Of General Secretary Dr. Dean Campbell.
This evening, right here in Central Westmoreland, the MP from Southwest St. Catherine, Everald Warington, went onto the platform and of course even bad word on the platform in front of the media and everybody. And I want to know, what sort of disciplinary action will the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who said he's asking for decency, what disciplinary action will he take against Everald Warington?
In Jamaica. Yeah, so guys, you can actually see the MP Warington really used a lot of profane language in the meeting, using the FFFF everywhere. And the members of his party were celebrating, you know. But then he had to be held accountable by PNP party. And he had to come back to the people and apologize for the use of profane language, because he had been asked to be accountable by the opposition PNP, who had called upon Holiness as the Prime Minister to really deal with the situation. And of course, we see this is a better society whereby a member of parliament or any leader, political leader, is a role model and therefore should use the right language among the people. Now, when you come to the situation of Kenya, because I'm doing a comparison here, you find leaders use very profane language, sometimes abusing each other, sometimes even the nonverbal cues, which are not very good to the audience, but they don't have anybody to hold them accountable. And even if they are held accountable, who actually has to tell them what to do or who is to be asked? Now, I want to give you an example of Oscar Sudi, one of the most popular politicians in Kenya. And one day recently, he was in a given meeting and he was using very profane language, non-verbal, verbal. And all through the meeting, for whatever he said, nobody held him accountable. So that's the difference between Jamaica and Kenya. You know, if you look at the politics of Kenya and Jamaica, Jamaica looks to be a bit mature. I didn't know that, but when I began following closely the politics of Jamaica, then I realized that these people, they're really a bit mature in what they do. So let's begin from there before we come to the other lady, whom I'll be playing a video here for, and actually showing you the fact that she was also being questioned. She was being questioned by the citizens for whatever she was doing. So let's start from the other aspect of the Jamaican, the Oscar Sudi from Kenya, before we go on to the other. Because that is one of the Kenyan politicians we really understand. He's very profane in his language. Before we came here to one of the leaders, that is Wellington Miranda, and talk about her. So let's be going to that. I'll be showing you this. That is Oscar Sudi. So guys, I want you to be very closely monitoring what Oscar Sudi is doing, even non-verbal language. How suitable is that? Then he goes on to even talk about the wife of the former deputy president. And this applies to every other politician, because there are politicians who move around with their wives, there are those who don't. So when he speaks this, he's not just talking about Gachagua, but he's speaking about even other politicians. We've seen Raila Odinga moving around with the wife all the time, and we've seen other politicians. But Oscar Sudi, in his culture, of course, we understand the Kalenjin people do not really respect wives and they don't honor them. So when they come into leadership, we remember the time of Moi. No, he was not moving around with the wife. In fact, there was so much rumor about, and if you've read Wizard of the Crows, you understand what Ngugi said. May his soul rest in peace. So let's come back to Oscar Sudi and talk about the kind of language he uses here, regardless of having said that people should talk in a better way, and the expectation from code of conduct, in fact, as a role model. Yes. So let's get to this.
Utafuta marafiki, hiyo mranga unaongea ongea sijui, wewe umepea nini hao watu? Kazi yako kila siku ni kuamka na kuhara yako. Unahara kwa mdomo yako. Hakuna siku
So people, if you don't understand this, because I know there are top fans from Jamaica, there are top fans from other places, like Martin Nazario here, Alex Loves, Ibrahim Kalin, and many others. So what Oscar Sudi is trying to tell here is that Gachagua has not done anything in his place. He's not even built a toilet. Then he goes forth and uses foul language. He says that his work is just to, his work is to remove waste, or rather, hey, what do I say here? I'm getting a very difficult moment to even explain what I have to say. When you say kuhara na mdomo, it's like defecating the liquid, waste using your mouth, right? So did you get that? If a politician uses that kind of language, he should be accountable. He should be held accountable and asked to refine his language. However, in Kenya, nothing happens. So that's why I'm giving you wagwan, the people from Jamaica. You really, really hold your politicians accountable here. Let's look for more.
Ulikuwa kwa uongozi kwa mwaka mbili. Utuoneshe toile tulijenga huko Mount Kenya. Utuoneshe yote William Ruto ametuma. Kwani William Ruto ako na makende, sisi hatuna makende?
Imagine. Now imagine that kind of language. Again, in Kiswahili, what he's trying to say that why is Gachagua complaining about what Ruto is doing? Does he have bigger balls than him? That kind of language in public, and everybody is going to watch if it's news. Even kids will be listening, and that's what he says on the media.
Sisi tutafanya kazi, tutafanyia wananchi wetu kazi, tutatembea Mount Kenya, hatuwezi kutembea bure vile unatembea bure ukiongea matope.
So he says here again that we will do our work and we will not be walking around speaking mad, in Kenya, if you tell somebody kuongea matope is like talking shit, That's what Oscar Sudi is saying here as a politician. Hey, that goes to the worst, friends. He says that no man walks around with a woman, with bullshit or nonsense. So all that kind of language, nobody held him accountable. The only thing we can see is the verbal aspect from Buddy here. And everybody else scared. Like you can see the eyes of the one on the left and right. That is the only accountability held here. Look at that. Hey, this is our dirty politics, And it's not the only one who does this kind of dirty politics. We've seen so many politicians in Kenya doing this, even during campaigns. Talking about yule jamaa wa vitendawili, talking about all that. I've seen a difference in Jamaica. Now, I saw in Jamaica, for example, there's this lady, Miranda Wellington. Miranda Wellington went to, about talking about war, the fact that war is there. And she's a former teacher who now wants to become a political leader. Let's just look at this briefly.
You will do it. Have no fear.
Catch a glimpse of the
Sorry
future
for
with our new
all
parallel screen
that.
photoreactor, a game changer for fundamental.
Mr. Floyd Green. Mr. Floyd. People of
That
Jamaica.
on the right.
People of Southwest St. Elizabeth.
Now, Miranda Wellington is, a member of parliament, somebody vying for member of parliament, a former teacher, going in as PNP candidate. Yeah, I would wish we just get a video on her, Miranda Wellington, and hear what she says. Miranda Wellington speech that sounded violent.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to send the PNB supporters going to make program meeting this.
I really just want her very speech. If I don't get it, then we're gonna just go ahead with our discussion. But I would wish I really would have got that speech. But here is Miranda, and of course she gives speech, and you can see in this video, she's talking of war. Yeah.
Elizabeth. Well, a resident of Southwest St. Elizabeth has some words for Miranda. Have a listen, guys.
People of Jamaica, people of Southwest St. Elizabeth, Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Floyd Green, Mr. Floyd Green's constituency. I was born and grown in St. Elizabeth, Southwest to be exact. And today, I, as an adult, I have become disheartened and overwhelmed by statements that I heard the candidate for the PNP party uttered at a meeting in Westmoreland, I think a few days ago. Now, mind you, I don't share the views of Miss Wellington, but I had heights of respect for her as a teacher, as a woman, and as a person who wants to take on leadership role. I have sat in places and defended that teacher, that female, that candidate of
So
the PNP.
guys, you can hear from this, this resident that she's disgruntled by what Miranda Wellington did in a speech whereby she couldn't save her words. She went on speaking and speaking and speaking, and she didn't just say everything that was good with everybody. She was talking about war, and that's dangerous, right? Very dangerous for a country, especially when elections are coming. So she holds everything at heart and really wished that this teacher would go on as a leader, but she was really surprised that the leader is talking about things to do with war, So, and she was asking what kind of war is she calling for? Who is she calling war on, and why does she want the war? That is one thing that here in Kenya doesn't happen, And during elections, you might find that people are threatening each other. Even recently, it's only recent that when our CS Murkomen went ahead and said they would shoot, the police would shoot, then people began to hold him accountable, and he began to talk about, I didn't say this, you won't find me having said this, and all that. So let's just see some meetings here and there. I was looking at the colors also. I've seen for Jamaica, like the PNP candidates were red, or rather orange, while the other party they were the green. And I saw that comparison with Kenya, and I was looking at this, for example, and saying, okay, so we share some things.
We've had robust engagement on matters to do with the parliamentary calendar. We've had also consultations with members of the PG on party activities. The neck of the party was represented by the chair, the SG, and members of the secretariat. In preparation for the next general election, and also in preparation.
Yeah, so guys, if you see me exposing that, it's during the time Ruto was looking for a post as a president. Talking very smoothly, convincing. In Kenyan politics, we normally have a lot of people promising, promising manifestos being said, and people celebrating and hoping that everything will change. However, it seems that in our elections, people go for money, the pocket, and so people will queue, get the money, then convince people to vote for somebody. I don't know the situation in Jamaica. I would wish to have some people maybe telling me something. And I also saw some sort of violent action that somebody stood against, yet to find this video. And then I saw the polls. Yeah, so maybe before I get to that, let me go back and just find something else to add here that I saw in the Jamaican politics. I really, really love politics, man. It's something sweet. I didn't know that. If I knew that long ago, I would really move with this channel. But I'm really trying. Yeah. So guys, as I've told you, when you look at the colors, for example, even currently, this is what is happening in Kenya, right? This is what is happening in Kenya. People have already started elections. Our elections, not elections, but campaigns, they start so early. So recently, the impeached deputy, the former deputy president, after he was dropped, then he's coming about and already has formed a party. And this is what you can see. You can see the colors. It's picking more of green. Now, when I look at the Jamaican settings, I see a different setting. I didn't see such kind of arrangements where the politicians come and stand in the vehicle. They have to come to the platform. But in Kenyan politics, you find that politicians stand in a vehicle the way we can see there. The green man there addresses a crowd, drops some money, and goes away. This is in Nairobi, right? Or Machakos. Yeah, so I was just doing a quick comparison, and I want to see the example of Jamaica here. And of course, we've seen a lot about Matiang in Yala. Let me just bring it on before I go to something else. So our politicians in Kenya, you find that some of them go to closed door churches, like here. This is another candidate who is really interested in the 2027 election. Here he is. He's in Yala here.
2021, the issue of a report was published by a local media about bodies being pulled out of River Yala, just like I saw last week.
Dr. Fred Matiang'i, Kenya's former Interior Cabinet Secretary, has finally spoken out in an exclusive interview with Citizen TV, aired on Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. He pulls back the curtain on some of the nation's most haunting and unresolved cases. The chilling discovery of over 30 bodies in River Yala and the brutal murder of IEBC ICT manager Chris Musando just days before the 2017 general elections. These miseries have lingered in Kenya's collective memory, with families and citizens demanding.
So why don't we close the file and let us take action in the direction in which the investigation are pointing us?
The River Yala case remains a symbol of the challenges Kenyan authorities.
We are doing this and so on and so forth. There's nothing you can do. You are not the investigating officer. You are the minister. So the question is, you go by what the Inspector General of Police tells you, with what the DCI tells you, and all these files we kept asking questions about them. Where are we with this investigation? We are looking for more information on this matter. We have this list.
So in Kenyan politics, man, let me tell you one thing. In Kenyan politics, we only hold the candidates who are not yet leaders accountable, right? And that is far beyond, before election. So you can see one of the candidates who wants to vie for president is having to clarify that during his time as CS of Interior, he had to close cases on aspect to do with the Musando Chris death, who was murdered, and the River Yala bodies, about 20 bodies found in the river. And he's clarifying here that he followed what the DCI said, because they said they have to close on that case. There is no more to be said, and that is a bombshell, right? And of course, you've seen so many other people like Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka walking around and talking about this or that. During that time, you must have seen maybe even Raila Odinga also addressing, and this is how it looked. This is Kenya for you.
Us how we will give 6,000 shillings to poor families.
So that is how chaotic our campaigns go. Now, I've looked at the example of Jamaica, and I've seen a lot of organization, even though somebody speaks and the people listen around. It's not as it is in Kenya, for example. Let me just get an example of leaders addressing people in Jamaica here. So, for example, let me bring Miranda Wellington addressing crowd. I hope I'll get something on that, because it's not obvious that I'm going to get what I want, though I should have researched earlier. So let me just check on this and see whether it will bring this Miranda Wellington somewhere addressing the people. No, here it's just simple, I don't know. But generally, what I've seen, the difference between Jamaica and Kenya is that here in Jamaica, people are held more accountable for the language they'll use, for whatever they say. Citizens come about and have to talk about it. Yeah, here it is. Here it is.
Comrades of Central Westmoreland. Comrades of Central Westmoreland, let me hear a big PNP victory. I want to hear your fist up in the air. I want to see the comrades who are ready for change in this country. The people who are ready for victory in this country. Let me see your fist up in the air. All right, good. Comrades, it is such a pleasure to be here. Myself and the team have been on the road all day, and I swear to you, we're tired, but we're not tired to bring home victory for the People's National Party. Comrades, I want to greet those at the head table. I want to greet all the comrades at the platform, at the head of the platform. I want to greet all the councillors from Westmoreland. I've never been to a conference where I don't have nothing to talk about the PNP because they know we are united and we are strong. We have representatives in every single constituency that is focused and aligned with what the party understands that Jamaica needs. The bird now.
How about some instant Nutella ice cream? And there's no need
So
for
guys,
ice cream
you've seen that
So to make
from
my gorgeous
Wellington.
Nutella ice cream, I'm going to start with
Let's
mixing
just see
hazelnut
another,
pudding.
because I was to show you at least 2 leaders here. Apart from Miranda, I wanted to show you the other leader who had used the foul language and had to apologize for that. Wilmington. Yeah, so let me bring Wilmington. Then after that, I go back to the other comparison here. So Wilmington. So that I'm comparing 2 parties, different parties. I don't know whether this one is... There is one that is not very, very clear here.
Used at stage shows. It is for that reason he
This
wants
one
the
I've already
authorities
shown you,
to
right?
intervene.
But you can understand, you really understand that when the leaders of Jamaica go to a meeting, they go to a such kind of conference. Although when they are doing road shows, they just move about like Kenya, but with a lot of motorbikes around than the vehicles. You know, in Kenya you'll find speeding vehicles, and sometimes even causing a lot of harm than good, and distributing some money.
He understands agriculture and knows that we need an agriculture development fund. That fund will secure.
We don't need that.
Oh my goodness, my goodness.
Plan to do. Come and tell us what you plan to do to all they carry to the market is spear. Damn it. Me not call nobody name. The week start with the excitement. And the prosperity now show up away. But not true.
I'm looking for something, I cannot get it, but I hope that when you go to the Jamaican politics, you see that Jamaican people are a little bit organized and putting their leaders at task. And even those who are vying, people really listen to whatever they say and later on come to question. But in Kenya, the crowds turn about and they'll be swinging the pendulum, and even polls and politics keep changing day after day. And at the end of it, you never know what will happen, and the polls just turn and somebody wins. That's what I just wanted to say in this politics. And so I saw there's something to do with PNP and JLP, how they are doing in the nearing election. And so I saw some polls. Maybe let's look at that, then we end the discussion.
Not being lackadaisical about it, but I'm very comfortable with the fact we are still maintaining a lead, even though we have for the last 6 months.
Yeah, let's hear about Diana and
which is about 90%.
discussion here.
It's that they're doing a full court press right now.
Yes.
So we're seeing the Prime Minister is somewhere cutting a ribbon and announcing something and opening something. And you're hearing it in the...
I don't know why it's so disturbing. Let's just get to have... There was another video here which was showing polls in terms of a kind of table. So I think I should use that one before it closed down, because my phone does not have enough power. And maybe just at that comparison of 34 minutes, we'll get to have more discussion on this, because I love politics and I've come to love Jamaica comparison to Kenya. I was also to do something on Ghana. Maybe I'll be booking, then do that later. And I think this was the thing that I wanted to show here.
Sure. Now,
She did compare
JLP 25.7%.
the difference.
Every time you hear stand because we had just had conference and everybody did seeing a 3% lead. And
here, let's see this comparison of polls. And we'll be coming to analyzing another video whether this happened finally.
Remember, 3%.
So the fact that...
error. So here are three things. I think the PNP were still ahead, but 2024, after the annual conference,
so
when they had a lead of 9.1%, that lead shrunk. So in January 2025, they were still ahead, but by 4.7%. And now with the poll taken in May 2025, we're only seeing a 3% lead. And remember...
So guys, I don't know whether this poll and politics will really hold in Jamaica, or will they turn tables just the way they do in Kenya. Sometimes you see that, like, you think that a given party is winning, and at the end of the day it doesn't. So I'll be following this politics closely to see whether it really predicts, and like in Kenya, whereby the pendulum can swing and you can never know just during the voting or rather the election day, things turn up and things are different. So guys, thank you very much for being around. If you watched live, I really appreciate what you did. And if you will be watching a video later, encourage me to continue doing this analysis in politics and also do other sagas more and more. So thank you for having been there, and have a nice time. You really mean a world to me if you come here and watch my video and maybe share, or rather show a like. Thank you. Bye bye for now.